All right. Ready to dive into a whole new world of, well, paint.
That's colorful.
Yeah. Today we're looking at those painting franchises, specifically CertaPro Painters. We got all their marketing stuff here, making it sound pretty great. And we also pulled some info from Blue Star Franchise. They're the firm that helps people figure out the whole franchise thing.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of them.
So our mission today is, well, is CertaPro as good as they say? And what do you absolutely have to know before you, even consider picking up a brush?
And by brush, we mean business, not actual paint.
Exactly. That's the interesting thing here. The materials we've got. They say you don't need any painting experience to own a CertaPro franchise.
It's more about leadership and management, overseeing projects, teams, building the brand, not so much mixing colors.
Okay, so then let's get into CertaPro's sales pitch. Why should someone pick them? Three things pop out: proven success and that you can scale up, world-class support and training, and then all this cutting-edge marketing.
Pretty typical franchise stuff, but the details are what matter, right?
For sure. Like they say their franchisees are making, on average, $2.1 million a year in revenue, some even hitting $3.5 million.
Wow, okay. But averages, some must be doing way better than others. What makes the difference there?
Yeah, good point. And they're talking high margins too, like 45 to 50%. Plus, being able to scale your business at your own speed, even manage it remotely, they seem to really highlight that flexibility.
Makes sense these days.
Yeah.
But I'm more curious about their support system. What kind of training do they actually give you?
Well, it's not like they just hand you the keys and say good luck, right?
Right.
They call it world-class support and training, and it sounds pretty intense. Hands-on simulations, a ton of online courses on everything from sales to actual production, team management, the whole nine yards.
Wow. So they cover it all.
And then for 18 to 24 months, you get personalized guidance from a development general manager, someone who's been there, done that.
Okay, that's actually huge. Having that expert around for almost 2 years could be make or break when you're just starting out.
Then there's their marketing, which they're really proud of. Makes sense. Got to get those customers. Digital strategies, they've got it all. Pay-per-click ads, SEO, even YouTube stuff to generate leads.
So they're not messing around online.
Nope. Then they've got these local co-op programs using TV, radio, and print to make sure everyone in your area knows about CertaPro.
They're covering all their bases.
Yeah, and get this, they give you CRM systems, customer relationship management tools. So you can manage those leads and turn them into clients. They're not just throwing money at marketing, they're giving you the tools to actually make it work.
Smart. But not everyone's cut out to be a CertaPro franchisee.
Right.
They seem to have a specific type of person in mind.
So what's their ideal candidate look like?
Well, someone who's ready to be all in, full-time commitment, they need strong team-building skills, be comfortable with selling, and really have that passion for leadership.
Not just slapping on paint, it's about building a whole business.
Exactly. And in a service industry like painting, that's crucial. You're selling an experience, not just a can of paint. You got to manage teams, handle clients, deal with all the stuff that comes with running the show.
Okay, so you've got the drive, the leadership skills, the comfort with sales, but what about the money? What kind of investment are we talking?
So the range they give is $171,000 to $32,500 for a CertaPro franchise. But that depends on the model you go with.
Hold up, different models. What's that all about?
Yeah, they have a couple of ways to structure your business, mainly whether you hire employees directly or use subcontractors. Each has its own pros and cons, and that changes the cost.
So you got to figure out which model fits you best, how you want to run things. But either way, that initial investment, that's a big chunk of change.
Oh, for sure. And a big part of that is the initial franchise fee, which is $65,000. But they do have a discount for veterans, which brings it down to $52,000. Well, still a lot, but it's something.
Right, but that's just the start, right? There are those ongoing fees too, royalties, advertising, technology, all that adds up.
Definitely. Those fees are pretty normal in the franchise world, but you have to know how they work.
So break it down for us. What are we looking at for those fees?
Okay, so royalties are tiered. They start at 6% of your gross sales and go down as your sales increase. The brand advertising fund is also tiered. It goes from 3% down to 2% of your gross sales. And then there's a technology fee that's 0.35% of your gross sales.
So it's a big commitment financially, both upfront and as you go. What are your thoughts so far?
Well, I'm impressed by the support and the marketing they offer, but those numbers are something to think about seriously. You got to balance that investment against what you think you'll make and how much risk you're comfortable with.
Yeah, no doubt. The financials are definitely making me think. But I'm also really intrigued by the different business models, subcontractor versus employee. That seems like it could change how you run things completely.
Oh, absolutely. It affects way more than just your costs. That's something to dig into more for sure. But for now, let's see what Blue Star Franchise has to say about the whole painting franchise scene.
Okay, so we've got CertaPro's pitch, the money stuff, all that. Now, what about Blue Star franchise? They're not just like all about CertaPro, right?
Nope, not at all. They work with all kinds of franchises. Their whole thing is helping people find the right fit, a business that matches their goals and who they are.
Like a matchmaking service for businesses.
Exactly. So what do they think about the whole painting industry? Is it really as promising as CertaPro says?
Yeah, what's their take?
Well, they do agree that it's a big market, like $56 billion big. So the potential is there, but they're also realistic about the competition. CertaPro might be the big name, but there are a lot of other players out there.
Right, like we said before, CertaPro's got less than 2% of the market share, so there are a lot of other painters out there. What does Blue Star think about that? Like, how does that affect someone who's thinking about getting into this business?
That's interesting, actually. They see that, all those different companies as a potential advantage. It means there's space for new people to come in and find their own niche, build a strong local presence, and really stand out.
So it's not just about going head to head with everyone else. It's about finding your own spot in the market.
Right. You don't have to be the biggest to be successful.
I like that. But Blue Star seems to really emphasize personal goals, right? It's not just about finding any business.
Totally. They say it's super important to match your goals and what you want in life with the franchise you choose.
So it's not just about making money. It's about finding a business you actually care about that fits your life, your vision for the future.
That's it. Finding that sweet spot where what you're good at and what you're passionate about meets a real business opportunity.
Which brings us back to CertaPro and those different business models, remember?
Oh yeah, subcontractor versus employee. I'm really curious about that. Does Blue Star have any opinions on which one might be better for certain types of people? Well, they don't say one is better than the other, but they do point out the important things to consider, like the subcontractor model. It usually costs less upfront. You're not paying salaries and all that, but you also have less control over the actual work being done.
So you might save money at the beginning, but you might not have as much control over quality.
Exactly. It's a trade-off. Now, with employees, it costs more upfront, but you have more control over everything. Hiring, training, making sure the work is good.
So it's like control versus cost, right? It depends on your management style, how much risk you're okay with, and how involved you want to be in the day-to-day stuff.
Exactly. Do you want to build a team from scratch or manage people who are already out there doing their own thing? It's a big decision that'll shape your whole business.
And what about their support system? Now that we know more from Blue Star, what do you think about CertaPro's training and all that?
How do you feel about it?
I'm still really impressed by it, honestly. All those simulations, the online courses, the personalized guidance for almost 2 years. That's huge, especially since they're trying to attract people who might not know anything about painting or running a franchise.
Yeah, it makes sense for them to provide that level of support. It increases the chances that their franchisees will succeed, which is good for everyone.
But it can't just be about the initial training, right? The painting industry is always changing. New stuff comes out all the time. How does CertaPro help people keep up?
That's the question to ask. Do they have ongoing training? How do they keep their franchisees updated on the latest things? Are they responsive when problems come up?
That's important. And let's not forget about the marketing support. They really push that. But, like, how effective is it really?
That's where talking to people who already own a CertaPro franchise comes in. Find out about the leads they're getting from CertaPro's marketing. See if they're doing their own local marketing too.
Because even with a big brand behind you, you still need to be known in your own community.
Absolutely. And that ties back to what CertaPro looks for in a franchisee. Leadership, team building, being comfortable with sales. You need to bring your own energy and drive to the table.
It's like they give you the canvas, the brushes, the paint, but you're the artist.
Nice analogy. It's about turning that blank canvas into something amazing. It takes vision and creativity.
So we've talked about the painting industry, personal goals, business models, support, marketing.
Even the importance of always learning and adapting.
But we haven't really dug into the financials yet.
The numbers, we know the initial investment, the fees, but what does it all mean for actually making money?
Right, that's the big question. And we'll get into that when we come back for the last part of our deep dive. We'll break down those numbers, look at the return on investment, and see what it takes to not just survive, but really thrive in this business. And we're back for the final stretch of our deep dive into CertaPro Painters. We've covered a lot of ground, the industry, CertaPro's model, even if it's a good fit personally, but there's one big thing we haven't fully tackled.
The financials. We've talked around them, but now it's time to really dig in.
Yeah, we know that initial investment can be anywhere from $171,000 to $32,500, depending on how you set up your business. And then there are those ongoing fees, royalties, and all that. It all adds up. But how does all that actually translate into, making money as a CertaPro franchisee?
That's the question, isn't it? And there's no easy answer, unfortunately. The franchise disclosure document, the FDD, will give you more details on the financials, but even that's just a starting point.
So, for someone looking at this opportunity, what should they really be focusing on when they're looking at the numbers?
A few key things, I'd say. First, you got to understand how much money you can actually make in your specific market.
Yeah.
CertaPro talks about those big average revenues, but those are averages across all their franchises. Your local market might be different, more competition, different prices, things like that. It can all affect your earnings.
It always comes back to location, right?
Yeah, to some extent. But it's also about knowing who your customers are and what they're willing to pay. Are you going after homeowners, businesses, or both? What's the typical job size and profit margin in your area? Those things all matter for your bottom line.
So you really got to do your homework on the market and make some realistic financial projections. But what other costs should people be thinking about, besides the obvious stuff?
Right, so you've got the basics, labor, paint, all your supplies, equipment. But don't forget about insurance, keeping your vehicles running, and any extra marketing you might do on top of what CertaPro provides. Oh, and those ongoing franchise fees, those are a big part of it too.
Yeah, those fees aren't small. We're talking royalties starting at 6% of your sales, plus those advertising and technology fees. That's money coming out of your pocket every month.
Exactly. You got to factor all that in when you're figuring out if you'll actually be making money. Don't just look at your total revenue. Focus on what's left after you pay all your expenses and fees. That's your real profit.
So we're talking about some serious number crunching here. Is there anything else besides just looking at spreadsheets that people can do to really understand the financial side of owning a CertaPro franchise?
Absolutely. Talking to people who already own one is so important. Ask them about their revenue, their expenses, their profit margins. Get their honest take on the money side of things, both the good and the bad.
It's about getting those real-world insights, the things you won't see in the brochures.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to ask tough questions like, how long did it take them to start making money? What were some unexpected costs they ran into? What advice would they give to someone thinking about doing this? Their experience can be super valuable.
Okay, so let's say you've done your research, the numbers make sense, you've talked to other franchisees, and you're feeling good about the financial part. But even if it looks good on paper, how do you actually stand out in such a crowded market?
That's where the real entrepreneurial challenge comes in. You got to go beyond just what CertaPro tells you to do. You need to find ways to be different, to be the painting company that people in your community think of first.
So what are some strategies that could help a CertaPro franchisee really stand out?
Well, first of all, it's all about amazing customer service. I know it sounds simple, but in a service business like painting, it's huge. Going above and beyond for your customers, being easy to communicate with, building those relationships, that's what will make you different.
Happy customers tell their friends, right? They're your best ads.
For sure. And that connects to building a strong online presence. Your website has to be great, you got to be active on social media, and you have to manage your online reputation. Responding to reviews, good and bad, shows that you care.
Okay, so great customer service, strong online presence. What else?
Think about offering something special, like a niche service. Maybe you become the expert in eco-friendly paints, or you focus on high-end homes, or you build a reputation for being the fastest painters in town. Find something that makes you unique, something that gives people a reason to pick you over someone else.
It's about finding that one thing that makes you stand out, right? But it's not all about marketing, is it? The quality of the work has to be there too.
You got it. You can have the best marketing, but if the paint jobs are bad, if you don't finish on time, if the customers aren't happy, it won't matter. You got to have a team of skilled, reliable painters.
And that's where those leadership skills that CertaPro talks about come in. It's about finding the right people, training them well, and creating a culture where everyone does their best work.
Right. And don't forget about ongoing training. The painting industry is always changing. New techniques, products, regulations. Investing in your team's skills will pay off big time in the long run.
It's all about staying ahead of the game, always learning and adapting.
Exactly. So to wrap things up, we have one final question for you, our listener. Thinking about everything we've discussed, what unique strategies do you think would be most effective for a CertaPro franchisee who really wants to succeed in this competitive market?
It's something to think about. We've given you the information, the different angles. Now it's up to you to do your own research and make the decision that's right for you.
Whether you go with CertaPro or explore other painting businesses, we hope this deep dive has given you the knowledge and the confidence to make a smart choice.
Thanks for joining us on this journey into the world of CertaPro Painters. Until next time, happy painting.